What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from IRS International Racing Series F1 2020 on the PS4 platform. And this is going to be the F1 League today as we get ready to do round 8 here at Baku, Azerbaijan. In what has been a fairly crazy season so far. I haven't been a part of this league for the whole season. I came in last week. I can only do so many races for them this year. But we watched a very exciting race last week. Round 7 at Monaco, and I am currently having some technical difficulties. So please stay with me here. Go. All right, there we go. All right, sorry for the slight delay, but here we are. So this is round 8, Baku, and let's run down the driver lineup of what we've got so far. McLeod 007 going to be in the Red Bull Racing, followed by Sam and Pike in the Williams. Santer Lamorcane, I call him Marty. He's the Finnish driver. He has a very hard name to pronounce, and I don't know all of the drivers' names as of yet. I did get some information from that last week, but we're just going to call him Santer, is what we'll call him. He's going to be in the Racing Point. Joke the Game 94. I bet you he's a joker. I bet you he was born in 94. Going to be in the Alfa Romeo Racing. Can't Be Touched is going to be in the Factory Renault. Epic the Animal. Logan Arond is your championship points leader here at IRS. And he's just coming off of a win from International Racing League F3 Series, where he finally picked up his first win of the season over there at Austria. So now he's doing double duty. I was just calling the IRL race, and I'm doing double duty with him, and I'm going to be calling him again here at Baku. He'll be in the Haas. Tony First is second in points right behind Logan, and he'll be in the AlphaTauri. Luis Wassman's going to be in the McLaren, and he's coming off of an F4 race for IRL. Cowie will be in the Williams. Asciomi is going to be in the Renault. Morgan in the Alfa Romeo. Messi is in the Ferrari. And then we have Oliver and Matapro. Let's call him Matt. Looks like they might be some reserve drivers. Haven't quite logged in just yet. So looks like we're going to have 13 drivers for today's race so far. We're still waiting for a couple of other drivers to join. So we'll run over the point standings after 7 rounds. Monaco last week. Logan Epic the Animal is still your championship points leader. He's got 79 points to his credit. Tony First is in second with 53 points. Giannis, who we haven't seen in a couple weeks now, 53 points to his credit in third. And then you've got Plix and Salmon both tied for fourth with 47 points. McLeod right behind them with 44. Julian, who won the pole position last week in Monaco, 40 points to his credit. Cowie and Can't Be Touched and Joke the Game, 35, and then 33 between Can't Be Touched and Joke. Those are your top 10 in the point standings right now. So, waiting for a couple other drivers to join in, and looks like we are up to 15 drivers now, so that is good. Looks like Matt is going to be in the McLaren, and we're still waiting for Oliver to pick his car. And Should be an interesting race. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Very young league, trying to get it off the ground. Only have a few subscribers, but please subscribe. Join us for races week in, week out. And we did have some technical difficulties last week with the stream. I wasn't able to stream to the IRS Racing channel. I was able to stream it to my personal channel, KAMIKAZE-FOX. So if anybody watched last week and subscribed to me, I really appreciate that. But by all means, we are definitely here now for the International Racing League. So join us on the live chat if you'd like. As we get ready to do an 18-minute short qualifying session, followed by a 50% race here to Azerbaijan, Baku. The very lengthy, very fast street course. Very tricky street course for sure. A couple of hard turns, plus you have the castle section, you have the very tricky turn 13 where a lot of guys get caught out and pancake the right side of the car into the wall. So we've got Sam and Pike joining us on the live chat, and it is going to be he's actually going to be in the race as well. So 15 drivers for today's race. Get things set up for everybody, and all the drivers in the pits are going to make their final setups. And as it stands right now, looks like Morgan's the only driver on a medium set of tires. Not sure if he'll keep it that way, as you see one of the Racing Points leaving. And it looks like that was Santer going out on his outlap. Very long run around this track just to do an outlap. And obviously with the way this track is done, a couple of very hard 90-degree corners. Definitely want to try and take it easy on the outlap. And it looks like I'm getting a weather forecast here from Sam and Pike. Looks like we're going to have some rain for the race forecasted. That should make definitely for an interesting turn of events. Rain, the great equalizer, possible for the race as we continue to watch Santer on his outlap. And then we've got a couple of guys coming out on an outlap now. So we ride along board with Santer as he runs up through the castle section there, that very tricky castle turn. We've got McLeod on an outlap. We've got Oliver on an outlap. Logan on an outlap, can't be touched. Luis Wassman, the game, Matt, all coming out on outlaps now. And we are going to ride along with Santer as he heads out onto the front straightaway. We'll ride along with him for his first hot lap, see what kind of time he can set. He was the first one to leave the pits, so he'll set the first time of this 18-minute short qualifying session as he comes across the line to start a hot lap now. Up onto the curbs, a bit of a twitch there, and he's got a car that just came out of the pits in front of him, so he's got a car that'll be on their outlap as well. Not sure if that'll be a factor to slow him down a little bit. Ooh, and he's all the way out to the wall on that right-hand side. And that's Messi in the Ferrari. And Messi's going to get out of the way, and Santer just brushed the right front tire against that wall of that one corner. Trying to keep it very tight through here, trying to use as much track as possible. Gets the power down now up to the very tricky Castle corner. Woo! Very close here in the right and left front. And you got this downhill section here. You got that very fast right-hander, and then you got this right-hander down here. This one here where it calls out a lot of people. Oh, he hops the curb. Playing a dangerous game. Loss of traction, possibly invalidate his lap time if he does that too many times. He's purple in Sector 2. Well, obviously, he's the only one to set a time so far. Got other drivers behind him on hot laps as well. But Santa's going to set the provisional pole position. It'll be the time to beat. And he's going to come across the line with a 1:38.030. That is your time to beat. And we pick up Logan Oran, but he's currently on an invalidated lap, so that is going to be no good for him. Pick up Tony first here. Tony, can't be touched, comes across the line with a 1:38.837, so he's 0.8 of a second off. We're going to have a couple other guys come across the line. Oliver, 1:39.298. Matt, 1:39.928. Continue to watch Tony. He sets a time. McLeod with a 1:38.818. So Sanders sets an impressive time. He's 0.8 of a second faster than the next closest driver, which is McLeod. Got a caution flying in Sector 1. Looks like that might have been a quick on-off. We're watching Tony, second in the championship point stand. He's going to come around here in the AlphaTauri, see what kind of time he can set. Big wiggle there coming out of that corner as he runs over the curb. But he's purple in Sector 2. Yellow flag flies in Sector 1 again. That's a couple of cars there. Looks like they're running together. Tony's going to come across the line. 1:39.101. So that's good enough for fourth quickest so far. 3 drivers have cracked into the 1:38s, and Santer's almost into the 1:37s. So good on him. And we'll pick up Matthias. We didn't talk about him, but he was in last week's race as well. And Morgan goes 1:38.718. That's good enough for second. Still 0.7 of a second off Santer's best time. Matthias coming down the straightaway. Matthias goes to the top of the charts with a 1:38.013. So he's got some speed in that car as he just overtook Santer for provisional pole position with 12 minutes left to play in the session. Meanwhile, Luis Wassman did set a time of a 1:39.576. Matt went 1:39.928 as he's heading into the pits. And we'll pick up the game as he's coming down the front straightaway now and see what kind of time he can set. And the game goes third quickest with a 1:38.417. Good on him. And just a quick note, I mean, look at this, a 1:38.718 for Morgan. Fourth quickest. Key note there, set on the medium tires. Now, obviously, he's not on a hot lap now, but that's an interesting key factor there to set that time on the mediums. So we're going to pick up Epic the Animal, Logan Oran, your championship points leader, yet to set a time, and validated his first hot lap. He's now on a second out lap after some minor adjustments and a fresh set of softs. And as we said before, there's a yellow flag, Sector 2. Looks like that's another quick on-off from somebody. As we said, Logan just coming off of a big win today at the IRL, the International Racing League, the F3 Series, where he won at Austria. He's doing double duty, as am I. I called that race, and me and him switched over to this, and now I'm calling this race. And he's your championship points leader here. Less than 10 minutes left to play. He's yet to set a time. We haven't seen times from Callie, Messi, Logan, or Salmon Pike. Ooh, and he's having some odd throttle issues there. Oh, and he cuts that corner big time. Was able to get away with it as he heads up into the castle corner. Yellow flag sector 2 again. And that's that downhill corner. It's actually where Epic is getting ready to head into. This very tricky right-hander. I'm sorry, very tricky left-hander. Yellow flag sector 1. Epic down the front straightaway. Does he have anything for provisional pole? 1:38.955. He can only muster it. 7th quickest so far. And I'm sure he'll go around to try and do it again. So we're still waiting on times from Callie, Messi, and Salmon Pike. Get a lot of guys on outlaps to see who we can pick up that's on a time that will pick up McLeod. So 8 minutes left to play in the session. McLeod is currently 5th quickest with a 1:38.818. He's purple in sector 1 though. So he's putting in a little bit of an effort here. 8 minutes left to play in the session. Going around some lap traffic, yellow flag flies sector 2. The downhill left-hander runs it a little wide across the curb. You see the car behind him trying to put some heat into those front tires. And it looks like he is purple in sector 2. Does he have enough speed and enough low drag on that car to go fastest in sector 3? And he's just dropped to 8th as Messi puts up a time, and so does Matt. And McLeod goes 6th quickest, 1:38.578. So now Cowie and Salmon Pike, the only drivers not to set a time. Salmon Pike just starting his first hot lap of the session. Salmon Pike put on an impressive performance last week at Monaco. Monaco, obviously a very tough track, and there was a lot of ups and downs for a lot of the different drivers. Unfortunately, I didn't take any notes from last week, but hopefully have a little bit better information moving forward with this year. As I said earlier, I won't be able to make all of the races in order to stream them, but I will try to make as many as I can. We're definitely going to be doing it today, though, as we watch Salmon Pike. And kind of crazy to do back-to-back street courses like Monaco and Baku for a season schedule. That's a lot of tenuous driving in a couple of weeks. And looks like Matthias has just set the fastest lap with a 1:37.816. He's the first driver to crack into the 1:37s. He's 0.2 of a second faster than Santer. 0.3 of a second faster than Tony. Meanwhile, Salmon Pike's getting ready to come across the line. We'll see what his first hot lap is. As he comes across the line, 1:37.992. So he's the second driver to crack into the 1:37. So good on Salmon Pike. Second. Oh, and Morgan. Whoa, let's look at that. Morgan with a 1:37.758 in the Alfa Romeo. So the times are starting to drop with 5 minutes left to play in the session. And this is not good for somebody like Epic the Animal, who's currently your championship points leader, all the way down in 11th. Currently sitting in the pits, Luis Wassman down in 12th. And Cowie has yet to set a time. I don't even think Cowie's come out of the pits. We'll try and pick up the game. See what kind of... Oh, and the game has lost his front wing, so he's had an incident. There was a yellow flag that I saw fly. It looks like we've got a car off Sector 1. I'm not sure who that is. Looks like it might have been Luis Wassman that caused the yellow flag, Sector 1. So Wassman currently 12th quickest, but he had a good run last week in Monaco. I believe he finished 4th. Right now he's really the only one on a timed lap, and he's on basically a busted timed lap. He had an incident heading into, I guess it was turn 2, so had to back his car up, get back out on track. Time's starting to wind down now, and things are going to start picking up. We've got a lot of guys in the pits. We've got a few guys coming out on their out laps. Things are about to get hot and heavy here towards the end of this qualifying session. We're going to pick up Santa, currently 4th quickest. He was the first one to set a timed lap. His 1:38.030 is his fastest lap so far. And now 3 minutes left to play, and you see how many cars are in the pits. You got a couple of guys. You got McLeod and Matt coming back out on out laps. Tony first coming out on an out lap. We're watching Santer. He's on a timed lap along with Can't Be Touched, also on a timed lap. Can't Be Touched is up 0.3 of a second on his best time. Back to Santer, though. He's a 1/10 of a second up on his best time. That would put him into the 1:37s. Woo! Runs it out to the wall. Very close there. Here he comes across the line. 1:37.622. Santer to the top of the charts and a 1/10 of a second faster than Morgan, who's just now coming out on an out lap. Will pick up Can't Be Touched. We know he's a 1/10 of a second up on his best time. He's going to come across the line. 1:38.373. He improves his time. He's up to 6th spot. We've got caution flags flying in sectors 1 and 2. We've got a car off at turn 2, and I'm not sure who that is. That could be Santer. Santer's actually pulled over and retired from the session. So Santer sets the provisional pole time at a 1:37.621. And we'll pick up McLeod, and McLeod is all over the gearbox of one of the AlphaTauris, so things starting to get a little crazy here. McLeod on an actual timed lap, and I think he's going to have to. Give up on that timed lap and recharge his ERS. Maybe come around and try it again. Pick on Matt. Matt looks like he's running down the front straightaway. And Tony First is retired from the session, so his time will be locked in at a 1:38.193. That's good enough for 5th quickest so far. Oh, and look at this. Matt's going to dive into the pit, so Matt's going to call it a day as well. So his time's going to be locked in at the 1:38.619. So we'll pick up Matthias and Salmon Pike, see where they're at. So Salmon Pike, he's going to be the first one across the line. He's going through the castle section now. And we do want to try and keep an eye on Epic the Animal. We get a yellow flag, sector 3. That's on the front straightaway. So time is up. Hot laps will count. You see Matt is locked in at the 138.619. We saw him retire into the pits. Tony first retired. He's locked in at a 138.193. Luis Wassman retires from the session. He's locked in at a 139.112. Meanwhile, Salmon Pike racing down the front straightaway. He's a 137.816. Does he have anything for the provisional pole time? 137.678. Good enough for second quickest on the charts. We'll pick up Morgan. It actually looks like Matthias has come across the line now. Matthias has gone second quickest with a 137.669. Morgan out onto the front straightaway. Does he have anything left in the tank? Long run down the straightaway. 137.379 to the top of the charts. Good for Morgan for that pole position there. Epic the Animal comes across, and it looks like Epic was only able to muster 9th quickest. So that's bad news bears for your championship points leader as Morgan takes the pole. So here's your starting order. Morgan going to be starting in first, followed by Santer in second. Matthias is going to be third. Salmon Pike is fourth. The Game is fifth. Tony is sixth. McLeod is seventh. Oliver eighth. Can't Be Touched is ninth. Epic was able to muster out top 10. 138.429 is his second off. Messi is 11th. Matt is 12th. Luis Wassman is 13th. Askiomi is 14th. And Cowie is going to be 15th as he did not set a time. That was going to round out 15 drivers for today's Grand Prix. Oh, and Salmon Pike said weather was going to be a factor. Didn't know it was going to be raining at the start of this race, so that's going to be interesting. The Great Equalizer showing its ugly face, and this will be fun for me because I don't know of anybody's wet weather capabilities with the exception of Luis Wassman and maybe Epic the Animal, who I've seen race in the wet before. But the speeds that some of these guys were doing in qualifying, it's going to be interesting to see. 137 is the qualifying time, how much slower they're going to be in the wet. And this track is already tight enough and hard enough as it is. You add rain to the factor, and it's going to get messy out there for sure. So not sure if the rain's going to last all race or if there'll be a changeover period to possibly full wets or dries. Going to do the formation lap here. We'll see who's on what as we get some tire information up here. But it looks like everybody's going to be on the intermediates. Morgan starting in the pole position in the Alfa Romeo. We'll see if he can capitalize on that and walk away with a win here in today's wet weather race. Santer, who looked really strong in qualifying, is going to be starting right behind him in second spot. See if he can overtake him, maybe snatch that one away from him. Matthias is going to be starting in third, and he'll be looking to try and stay on the podium today. But Salmon Pike showed to be very quick last week at Monaco. He's very quick in qualifying today. See if he can work his way to a podium position, along with the Game as well. The Game starting in the fifth spot. See if he can work his way up a couple of positions to maybe snatch away a podium from one of the top three drivers. And Tony, second in championship point standings. This is good for him. He out-qualified Logan, who is the championship points leader, as we see Salmon Pike is going around in the wet. Tony starting in sixth. His championship rival is going to be starting all the way down in 10th. Both of them are going to have their work cut out for him, though, here in the wet. See if Tony can work his way towards the front. And McLeod starting in the seventh spot. See if he can work his way and put some points on the board for Team Red Bull. And Oliver, looks like Oliver was a reserve driver, joined in late today. They put him in the AlphaTauri. See if he can put some points on the board and Can't Be Touched in the factory Renault. He'll be looking to put some points on the board for sure. And then we've got Logan around, Epic the Animal, the championship points leader, starting all the way down in 10th. Now, I'm wondering if Logan knew that it was going to be a wet race and tried to go for a wet setup, and that's why he can only muster so much speed out of the qualifying. So it'll be interesting to see if he's got a wet weather setup on his car, and that's what slowed him down during qualifying. Messi's going to be starting in the 11th spot, see if he can work his way into the point standings and put some points on the board. And Matt, I think, was another driver that came in late. It might have been a reserve driver for today's race. He's starting in the 12th spot. And Luis Wassman, coming off of a great run last week at Monaco, put some points on the board. He's going to be starting all the way down to 13th. We'll see if he can work his way through the field, maybe get into that top 10 once again, put some points on the board. And Asciomi is going to be in the 14th spot. And then we have Cowie. Cowie is bringing up the rear. He did not set a time in qualifying. In fact, he didn't even come out on track. So he'll be starting in the 15th spot. So that's going to be 15 drivers for today's Grand Prix. This is round 8 here for the International Racing Series. You see, according to the pit predictions, it looks like it's going to be a full wet weather race, intermediates to intermediates. Not sure if anybody will try, possibly, to do full wets, or as the race goes on, maybe the racing line gets a little less slick. See if somebody takes a gamble on slick tires if the rain lets up a little bit. So this should be interesting as we wait for the cars to get lined up. 26 laps here at Baku, the European Grand Prix here at Azerbaijan. So here we go. We wait on the 5 red lights. Lights are out, time to run what you brung. And a good start here at the front of the field, and then there's a bit of a mess towards the back, and contact for Wassman and Matt. These guys try to get through turn 1, and it's a great start by Morgan, who has skipped away, and now it's a mess here in the back. And obviously timing and scoring is messed up just a little bit. Asciomi is not the leader of this race. Morgan's the leader of this race out in the Alfa Romeo, closely followed by Santer and Matthias. Asciomi's actually down in the 12th position. But a great start by Epic. The Animal Epic is already up into the 7th position and right behind Tony, who is his championship rival. And Tony started in 6th, hasn't been able to garner any ground. But Tony's going to be looking at his rearview mirror going, what in the world? And here comes Epic trying to make a move on him. It looks like Can't Be Touched is losing a spot as Messi gets around him. And a pretty clean opening first lap. I'm actually kind of surprised. No major incidences on this opening lap in the wet weather. Tony's looking to make a move on Salmon Pike. He's got a good run. He's in the slipstream. Salmon Pike's going to take the defensive line, but Tony's still got the slipstream from Santer in front. Now who's going to outbrake who? Oh, Tony's going to try and go run the outside. It's very tight, and he made contact with the wall and Salmon Pike. And there goes Epic the Animal, and Epic's going to get the 2-for-1 deal. No, he dives down on the inside. And Epic is still side by side with Salmon Pike as they drag race down towards the next corner. Tony's going to be a little bit upset that he got squeezed by Salmon. Epic's going to make the move, and no, they're still side by side with each other. Oh, they're still side by side. Salmon tries to put the power down. The back end kicks out. Ooh, and Tony has to be easy and delicate on the brakes, trying to get that throttle back down. The game's right behind him. So Epic is up into the 4th spot. Great racing by the top 5. I should say top 6 because, oh no, who was that? Looked like that was Santer, who just made contact with the right rear at the castle section. And does he have a problem now? So Sander looks like he's lost a little bit of ground to Epic. So here comes Logan Arond in the Haas. And Tony's lost touch of this battle, and Tony's in threat now. It looks like he's under threat from Joke the Game. And here comes the Game looking to make a move on Tony down the front straightaway. He pulls out of the slipstream, running side by side with him. Is he going to try and outbrake him? Tony's going to get caught on the outside of turn one again. And again, he's going to get squeezed, and he's not going to have the preferred line heading into the next corner. Bit of a lock up there. Ooh, and now they're into the wall, rubbing shoulders with each other. Side by side down towards the next corner. Ooh, they're so close to rubbing again. You hear the tires squealing and locking up. And Tony almost into the wall. The Game not letting up. Tony still side by side with him. And here comes Luis Wassman. And finally, the Game is going to get the power down and take that position. And you can hear the tires just screaming in these wet weather conditions. Meanwhile, Logan has made the pass on Santer for the third spot. He's up into the podium position starting from 10th. Unbelievable opening 3 laps for Epic the Animal. I would go as far to say this run so far has been epic. Uh-oh, we've got an incident. That's Tony. Tony down at the castle section. Looks like he's had a big incident. He's losing a number of spots. He has fallen from 6th all the way down to 12th. Ooh, and you see one of the Renaults there just slap the wall. Looks like that might have been Can't Be Touched. Meanwhile, Cowie is taking another spot away from Tony, and Tony is just struggling on this lap. And he has fallen from 6th all the way down to 13th. He's outside of the points. Meanwhile, you see the times that are being set. Morgan Mathias going back-to-back with fastest laps. Mathias has set the fastest lap, 1:54. That's compared to a 1:37 in qualifying. It's almost 20 seconds slower here in the wet. And it looks like Tony's going to dive down into the pits as he slams into the pit wall. Big lockup. And that is going to drop him probably all the way back to last. Here comes Ascomi bringing up the rear. He's currently 15th. And Luis Wassman's had an issue. Wassman looks like he's missed the braking point. Does the 3-point turn, gets it going, and he is back and off to the races, but he drops out of the points. He was running in the 8th position, down to 13th. Meanwhile, Sam and Pike now starting to close the gap on Santer for the 4th spot. And this is actually a 3-car battle. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th. This is Santer in the Racing Point, followed by Sam and Pike in the Williams, and the Game in the Alfa Romeo. These 3 running together. You can throw a blanket over them. Looks like Cowie is getting around Matt for... Oh, and there's a huge incident! Oh, what was that? Cowie just body slammed Matt into the wall. And that might get investigated after the race. We picked up that pretty late, but it looked like for sure that was a... Oh, and he's into the wall again because of the loss of downforce. So Matt, I don't know if Matt did something to Cowie or Cowie maybe tried putting the power down. I don't know. Looked awfully suspicious. So Matt has now fallen out of the points, unfortunately. But we still got this 3-car battle here that we're watching. Very tricky through this very fast S section here as they try to get out onto the front straightaway. And we're going to pick up the Game. This is not the Game. What the hell, Game? Not the Game, but what the hell, Codemasters, trying to pick up the battle here for 3-car battle. And this is getting crazy here between these 3 drivers, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So the game's going to have the slipstream coming off of Sam and Pike. Pike's going to have the slipstream coming off of Santer. Santer's able to gap them and get that power down at the end of that corner. Meanwhile, Matt, who got body checked into the safer barrier, actually I shouldn't say safer barrier, into the concrete, he's pitting, putting on a fresh set of intermediates, he'll get a fresh wing, and he's going to be running in the 15th spot. Meanwhile, Tony had to pit and come back out. Tony having some issues today. He's down to 13th spot as we continue to watch this three-car battle here. Woo! In the game, just dragging them rear wheels, man, trying to get that power down. Dragged them almost all the way down to the castle section. Very slow through here. So once again, this three-car train is going to go out onto the front straightaway. It looks like Sam and Pike's got a good run on Santer for the 4th spot. They're side by side, but the game is going to have the double slipstream. And Salmon's going to fall back in line. Nope, he's going to try and go around the outside, inside, and look at this. The game and Santer make contact. Santer with a great run coming out of the corner. Ooh, and Santer tries to get the power down, loses the back end a little bit. And now the game is side by side with Santer. Santer's going to lose another spot. And Santer falls from 4th to 6th in a matter of a couple of corners. Meanwhile, while these three cars have been battling it out, Messi has started to show up into the picture. He's only 2 seconds behind this three-car battle. And Santer looks like he's lost a little bit of touch coming out of that corner there. And now you've got the game is all over the back of Sam and Pike. Meanwhile, we are starting to get a battle for the lead here. This is Matthias and Morgan. Matthias has closed up the gap to Morgan. He's only 9/10 of a second behind. And you can hear the Quality Codemasters audio there. Both of these cars having a little bit of a glitchy sound to them right now. I assure you that's nothing wrong with their cars. That's got everything to do with Codemasters and their audio in the game. Let's see if Matthias can close up and maybe use this slipstream a little bit. Eight-tenths of a second back. He's too far back to try and make a move, but he just ran the fastest lap. And once again, Morgan and Matthias sharing fastest laps. Morgan comes across fastest lap. Matthias comes across fastest lap. So these two sharing blows. Oh, a big lock up there on both front wheels. Matthias really trying to go deep into the corner. Now Morgan got a good, Matthias got a good run coming out of that last corner there. While this is all going on, the game is still battling it out with Sam and Pike for the 4th spot. We're going to continue to watch the battle for first. It looks like Oliver's just dived in the pit, so Oliver going to make his pit stop for a fresh set of intermediates. Not sure if he's had any wing damage or not. A little early to be making a pit stop. Up through the castle section. I assure you that's got nothing to do with the actual car. That's just quality audio from Codemasters. Something they had a problem with last year and they haven't been able to fix apparently. But Matthias And he's a little closer this time around. He's about 1/10 of a second closer than he was last time. See if he can use a little bit of that slipstream to try and make a move. He's not going to be nearly close enough. He does close in a couple tenths over the last lap, but nothing that's going to be able to make anything work. Meanwhile, we pick up the game and see he's trying to close in on Salmon Pike. And the game's got a good run coming down this long straightaway, using the slipstream to his advantage. Pike's trying to take the defensive line all the way down to the wall. Crossover move, baby. Nope, can't get the power down. Snap oversteer. Almost lost the back end of the car. The game getting another good run coming down this long straightaway here too. This is another DRS straightaway under dry conditions. Big lockup on both front tires as they head in that corner. Meanwhile, Matthias is still working on Morgan for the lead of this race. And then we're going to go back to the game at Salmon Pike, and now these two all over the gearbox now. The game trying to make that move. And up through the castle turn. Meanwhile, there is a three-car battle back here. This is Cowie, Can't Be Touched, and Luis Wassman all within a second of each other. Three-car battle, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And Cowie had that incident earlier with Matt. Unfortunately, Matt's not been able to recover after being shoulder checked into the wall. So he's all the way down in the 15th spot. Meanwhile, Morgan's been able to pull out from Matthias a little bit. He's been able to gap him by a couple tenths of a second. And it looks like while we were watching all that, it looks like the game has gotten by Salmon Pike for the 4th spot. So good on the game, picking up the 4th position. Working lap 9 of 26. And it looks like the rain's not coming down as hard as it was. In fact, it looks like the rain is starting to stop a little bit. At least the intensity is not, the intensity is becoming a little bit less than it was when the race started, so maybe the skies will clear up towards the end of this race. Meanwhile, Can't Be Touched, still working on the backside of Cowie for the 8th position. Getting ready to head down into the castle section here. And these guys have actually caught up to McLeod in the Red Bull, so McLeod's lost a huge chunk of time to these guys. And the game has just set the fastest lap of this race at a 1:53.695. That's the first fastest lap I've seen in the 1:53. So the times are starting to drop a little bit as the track definitely has a definitive racing line now. Still very wet out there. So we'll run down the running order a little bit here on lap 10 of 26. So Morgan's still your leader. Matthias still trying to find a way around him. Hasn't been able to get close enough to try and make a move. Epic, the animal who started in the 10th spot, has already worked his way up into the 3rd spot. did that on the opening couple of laps of this race, and really running by himself at this point. 6.5 seconds behind the battle for the lead, but he's also 12 seconds in front of the game. So in the game now running by his lonesome, and he's been able to gap Salmon Pike by almost 4 seconds. Salmon Pike's running by his lonesome because he's 5.5 seconds in front of Santer. Santer's running by himself because he's 4.5 seconds in front of what is now a 3, turning into a 4-car battle. So 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th is McLeod, closely followed by Cowie, closely followed by Can't Be Touched, closely followed by Luis Wassman. So those are your top 10 points-paying positions. And it might become down to a matter of pit strategy if somebody wants to try and maybe short pit and undercut with a fresh set of intermediate tires. With the skies looking like they're starting to clear up, maybe somebody runs long on the intermediates and see if they switch over to slicks. So I am going to pick up Epic. I'm just going to hop on board, and it looks like the rain has stopped, and we've got a yellow flag at Sector 2. Who is that? That is... looks like that might have been Messi. It was Messi at Sector 2. Looks like he's had a bit of an incident. Did he have any wing damage? Oh, he's lost... yeah, the right front part of that wing is gone. And this is going to be a tough decision for him. He has to pit because of the loss of downforce, which is huge around some of these high-speed back section of this course. The rain has stopped. Oh, and he slams into the wall. And he slams into the wall again and again and again. And I think now he's just trying to... and he's retired from the session. He's broken the front wheels. So we've got a safety car, and yeah, that's a tough one right there for Messi. That was a bit of a mess. So yellow flag, safety car conditions, and it looks like Morgan has got some wing damage on the right front of his car. So the right front end plate is gone on his car. Matthias. Looks like Matthias is going to be in good shape. So with the rain basically coming to an end, this is going to be interesting. Does anybody pit for a fresh set of intermediates? Does everybody stay out and try and run these intermediates until possibly a changeover to slicks? But then you've got Morgan, who's got the end plate damage on his right front wing, so he's got the loss of downforce. Does he pit? And it looks like the 2 leaders are going to pit. So Morgan obviously going to need a wing and a fresh set of tires. Now Epic stays out. There goes Matthias. Matthias is going to be able to leapfrog Morgan in the pits because Morgan had to get the wing on. And look at Morgan. Morgan is on his way to Vegas because he is gambling on some medium tires on, for me, what is still a very, very wet track. Even though the rain has stopped, I don't think the track is nearly dry enough to try this yet. I think it might be in a handful of laps, but I think Morgan's really going to struggle, and he is not the only one to come out on the medium tires. The other Alfa Romeos, so Team Alpha, playing a very dangerous game, in my opinion, on the medium tires. Looks like McLeod's going to try and do the same thing, along with Can't Be Touched. Now, I think Matthias pitted for a fresh set of intermediates. I don't know if that was the right call. I think Epic's the one that's got this right so far. Stay out, stay on the intermediates, wait for the track to dry a little bit. I don't know, such a tough decision. I am not a race strategist. If I was, I'd be working for Ferrari because that's how good I am right now, and they are a dumpster fire this year. So this is going to be interesting. We've got guys that are on fresh intermediates. We have drivers that are on fresh medium tires. We've got drivers that are on old intermediates. Salmon Pike and Epic the Animal, the only two drivers to not pit. And look, we've got drivers coming out on hard tires as well. Oliver and Matt are both going to switch over to the hard tires, so this is going to get very interesting in the second half of this race, because we're getting ready to come around circuit for the 13th time. So we're going to be 50% into this race, and the weather, obviously, it started off raining. It has stopped raining, but the track itself is still very wet. You can still see the spray coming off of the cars. We're probably going to do at least 2 more laps under the safety car because of the crash on the S's on the back part of this track because of Messi's Ferrari. So Epic the Animal, who started in 10th, is your leader. 12-lap-old intermediate tires, followed by Matthias, who's been running second pretty much this whole race at this point. Fresh intermediates. Behind him is going to be Morgan. Morgan was the leader of this race. He has switched over to medium tires. So we've already got 3 stages in the first 3 drivers. We've got old intermediates, fresh slicks, followed by the game, also on fresh slicks. Then you've got Asciomi, who's on old intermediates because he had to make a pit stop earlier on. Santer is on fresh intermediates along with Salmon Pike. Salmon Pike did stay out, but he has decided to go in and put on a fresh set of intermediates. McLeod is going to gamble on the mediums, along with Cowie Cowie's on fresh set of intermediates with Tony. Tony is back into the points. Can't Be Touched has switched over to mediums. Luis Wassman is pitting now, and Luis is... Well, he pitted. He had intermediates on his car during the yellow flag, decided to make another pit stop, going to put on the mediums as well. Oliver is going to take over the 12th position, and he is on hard tires. So there is just this is just a variety pack of what's going on right now. Now, with so many laps under the yellow flag and the safety car conditions, every lap that goes on like this is bad news for Epic, because he's not able to, under green flag conditions, pull a gap. And this is good news for guys like Morgan. Morgan's going to have an easier time circulating this track on slick tires in the wet, obviously, when he's going a little bit slower. So Morgan's at the advantage right now, I think, while Epic is at the disadvantage, because under green flag conditions, Epic could make the gap, pit a little bit later in this race for softs or medium tires. But right now, I think with so many laps under the safety car, I think this was the right call initially to stay out on intermediates, but I think it's going to backfire because of how many laps we have to do under the safety car, because we're still waiting for a couple of the cars to get into the queue. And I don't know what's going on here with Cowie and Can't Be Touched, but so we've got Oliver and Luis Wassman. So really we're going to be waiting on Matt, who is very, 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 very far behind. Possibly waiting on Matt to join up to the safety car queue. And at Matt's pace, that's going to be a while, unfortunately. Matt is actually closer to being lapped by the safety car than he is to actually catching up to the safety car queue. So let's get on, Matt. Let's get on. Get caught up. Now, you can see Matt is actually struggling on those medium tires on the wet track. But it does look like the track is starting to dry out a little bit under these safety car conditions. As they continue to circulate. So the race had a bit of a standstill, and this is going to be frustrating for Logan, because I don't think Logan anticipated on being stuck behind the safety car for so long. And this literally has nothing to do with the crash at this point. This has everything to do with the programming of the game. literally waiting for drivers to get to the safety car queue. I don't think these guys understand how this works. I mean, the advantage here could be that if nobody ever gets called up, maybe they don't go back to green flag racing. So you see this gaggle of cars. We've got Epic. And we're finally going to get word here. Safety car is in this lap, so that's good news for Epic. He doesn't have to wait for everybody to get called up to the queue. We've got enough cars in the queue. So now Epic will become the control car. When does he decide to go? And hopefully we don't have an incident like we had at Mugello earlier today under safety car conditions. And remember, no passing before the start-finish line. Epic is holding, he's holding, he's holding, and he's off to the races. And you see there in the back, Sam and Pike trying to make a move already down into the inside, and there's a bunch of guys sliding side by side. Asciomi's lost a couple spots. And you see the guys with the medium tires. That's one of the Alfa Romeos there. Looks like that was the game. Had a hard time getting the power down. Looks like Morgan's lost the spot. He's lost a couple spots now. So Matthias was able to get around Morgan. So was Sam and Pike. Now Santer's getting around him. So it might take a couple of laps for these mediums to come in. Tony falling down into the 8th spot. Meanwhile, Morgan is side by side. Oh, he's got an AlphaTauri behind him. That's Tony first. Yellow flag, sector 1. That is going to be Matt, unfortunately. And it looks like that's Matt and Oliver, who have both had an issue. Meanwhile, we'll go back to the battle here. Morgan has fallen all the way back down to 9th, and you can see now this is interesting because if you look here, all the intermediate tires, all the guys with intermediates have now moved past everybody with the medium tires. Semi-good news. But the track is drying out. Everybody on the intermediates is going to have to pit. So even though this didn't work out initially for Morgan and he's lost a number of spots, he keeps pace, and here it is. Epic's into the pits. So is Matthias. So a guy like Morgan is going to be able to capitalize on this. He's going to come down the front straightaway, and he's going to pick up a number of spots. So the guys in the intermediates are going to have to pit. And I think Epic's going to be kicking himself in the butt for this. Morgan moves up into the 6th spot. Epic pits from the top spot, and he's going to come out 10th. Meanwhile, there's still 5 cars in front of them that are going to have to pit. Again, Sam and Pike is your leader. But it doesn't look like this track is very wet anymore at all. But there is a battle for the lead between Santa and Sam and Pike. So even though they're on intermediates, the battle for the lead's not quite over. Morgan now, he's the first driver on the mediums, is up in the 6th, and he's closing in on Can't Be Touched. And he's closing in very quick. So 10 laps to go in this race. The question is somebody like Sam and Pike, how long does he run on those intermediates? And does anybody gamble that's left to pit? Does anybody gamble on softs and try and run them to the end? Meanwhile, Morgan is getting around, can't be touched, as he's just gone purple in Sector 2. See if Can't Be Touched. Looks like Can't Be Touched is going to try and head down into the pits. Salmon Pike and Santa are going to pit. So is Cowie, so is Tony. So that's going to move Morgan back into the top spot of this race. So Morgan has played the tire strategy perfectly, even though it didn't look like it was going to work out for him. And now we've got ourselves an Alfa Romeo 1-2. Morgan 1401 out in front of Joke the Game 94. McLeod up into third. Luis Wassman up into fourth. Good for Luis, but he's got Epic the Animal, Logan Aron all over the back of him. Logan, your championship points leader. And now the DRS is enabled. So DRS is going to be a huge thing now. You see Logan has got all over the gearbox of Luis Wassman. A couple of IRL veterans. I even think Luis Wassman spent some time in SRL as well. Logan participates in at least 3 other leagues that I know of, and I think in every single one of his leagues he drives a Haas. So the American in the American F1 car, good on him. He's your championship points leader here. He's fighting for a championship in IRL F3. And I really think if that safety car would have ended a lap or 2 earlier, Logan might have been able to capitalize on staying out on those intermediate tires. But Logan, I commentate a couple different leagues. I commentate this one, I commentate SRL, I commentate IRL, and Logan participates in the IRL F3 series. And he has had some bad luck this year with safety cars just ruining his race strategy. It's cost him a couple of wins so far in IRL, and it may have cost him today as well. You got 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Morgan out in front, though, to the tune of 2.5 seconds over his teammate as he just ran the fastest lap of this race. Now, shout out to shout out to Can't Be Touched and Cowie, as they did come in and they are going to try and gamble on those soft tires and run them to the end, see if they can garner some spots on some fresh softs. But Cowie just picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that's all for naught at this point. Meanwhile, we continue to watch this 4-car battle here. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. McLeod in the Red Bull running at 3rd. He's trying to hold off Luis Wassman. Wassman looking for another podium finish this year. Logan Aron's championship points leader. He's now in damage control as he was leading this race. Had to pit for fresh mediums. Lost out on that. And Matthias, who was running 2nd for the majority of this race, pitted for fresh intermediates. Had to pit again. Pitted for fresh intermediates. Had to pit again for mediums. So he's also in damage control because he was running 2nd for almost this whole race up until this last pit sequence under the safety car. We're going to ride along with Epic. Into this very high-speed S section here. This is where Messi had his wreck, which caused the safety car. And a good run coming out of there. Logan's got the slipstream of Luis Wassman's car. He's going to have the DRS advantage. Here comes Matthias, though. Matthias with a huge run coming out of there. And now Matthias is side by side. He's going to blast by Epic. And this is kind of what we talked about earlier in the race. Epic's going to try and come back. Can't make it work. But we talked about how poor Epic did in qualifying. He qualified 10th, and we talked about maybe he had a wet setup on the car for the rain in the race, and now that it's dry again, he's going to lose some time. So Epic is down in the 6th. Luis Wassman making the move, though, to get around McLeod. These two are almost side by side, and here comes, and there's contact! There's contact between the Red Bull and the Mercedes. And now it's 3 wide. Epic looks like he might have been a part of that as well. There's 3 wide in the next corner. Epic's going to get the 2-for-1 deal as he heads through there. And Matthias and McLeod make contact, and Matthias with a little bit of an advantageous move McLeod loses a spot. Epic gains 2 of them, and Epic is back up in the 4th. Meanwhile, Luis Wassman was able to get that 3rd spot and take it away, and has been able to scoot away from the battle back here for 4th. And now Epic is going to have his hands full because I'm pretty sure he's running a wet setup, and his car's been a little slow on the straights, as we saw last lap when Matthias blew by him down the front straightaway. He's able to gap them a little bit, runs a little wide there, almost slams into the right side of the wall there. And now you've got Epic, McLeod, Matthias, and Salmon Pike and Santer are all within DRS range of each other. And a 3-second time penalty for Cowie. Now Epic was able to gap McLeod. But here comes Matthias. Matthias was very fast in the straightaway. He's going to go to the outside of McLeod to try and take that 5th spot away. And he's got it before he gets to the braking zone. An easy pass for Matthias. We've got a yellow flag, sector 2. Looks like that can't be touched. Or is it Matt again? It's Matt. Matt has, and that's the castle section. Matt into the wall, lost his front wing. And we've got ourselves a safety car because Matt was stuck out there. So a little bit of breathing room and a sigh of relief for Epic. Meanwhile, this is going to bunch things back up again. Now, lap 20 of 26. Again, we play the tire strategy game. Who does what? You're at the window now where you could pit for a fresh set of soft tires and run them to the end. And we see some guys like Cowie and Can't Be Touched are already on the softs. They could stay out. Who does what? This has been a fairly interesting race. This has been very, very interesting to watch. We're waiting for everybody to get caught up to the safety car queue, so just trying to play the different strategies out in my head. As I said, I'm not a race strategist, but Morgan really has got enough of a gap that he could have pitted for a fresh set of softs, maybe capitalize on that. But no takers. I'm actually kind of surprised. No takers on anything. And who is this bringing up the rear again? I really would have liked to have seen somebody try and take a gamble on a fresh set of softs. So safety car was out because of, I believe it was Matt. So he's pit for a, did he not change his tires and just change the wing? Seems odd. So no takers on soft tires. So safety car. Now the question becomes, how many laps does the safety car do? These guys can let these tires cool down. This is going to be an advantage for guys like Cowie and Can't Be Touched because they're going to be able to keep the wear off of those soft tires. I thought they might have pitted a little too early for softs, but under the safety car conditions, they'll be able to cool them tires down, get some longevity out of them, and those two might be able to run themselves at least into the mid-pack for some points. Cowie still might have that incident investigated at the end of this race between him and Matt where they made contact. So that'll be interesting to see. But how many laps does this take? And it looks like Oliver will be... looks like Oliver will get called up to the safety car queue. That's just going to leave Matt all by his lonesome in the back, so that'll be enough cars in the queue. This should be the last lap for the safety car. The safety car should come in this lap. And we'll get notification on that. And this has been a crazy race. Morgan out in front, along with Alfa Romeo of Joke the Game. Luis Wassman up in the third. That is a fantastic run for him. Epic Animal, your championship points leader, Logan Aron in the fourth spot. But I'm pretty sure he is going to fall a couple spots. I think he's running a little bit different setup than most of these guys. He looks like he ran a wet weather setup, which really propelled him up the running order at the start of this race when he started 10th and worked his way up into third. He's now in the fourth. Matthias is going to be kind of kicking himself in the butt because he was running second for almost this whole race until the first safety car came out. Samuel Pike's had a bit of an up and down day. Right now he's down to 6 along with McLeod. Santer, Tony, who started in the 6th spot ahead of Logan, is now down into the 9th spot, and that's not going to help him close the championship points gap at all. Tony second in points, 54 points to his credit, but Logan with the championship points lead is 79, and Logan on the cusp of picking up another podium finish. So Cowie running in 10th. Cowie's possibly going to have that incident looked at after this race between him and Matt. Matt's race has fallen apart. He's down 14th spot. And as we said, Campe touched in the 11th spot, but he's on those soft tires. Asciomi hasn't been much of a factor today as he's running in the 12th position. And Oliver, he's had a bit of a tough day trying to call the right strategy. He was on the intermediates, and then after the first safety car, he switched over to hard tires. Then he made another pit stop to switch over to the mediums. So he's all the way back in the 13th spot. So hopefully we'll get the notification that the safety cars are going to be coming in this lap. I'd hate to see these guys do another circuit under the safety car conditions. It looks like that might be the issue. So it looks like we're going to go around at least one more time. So a couple of extended yellow flag safety car periods. And by the time the safety car comes in, this is going to be basically a 2 or 3 lap shootout. It'll be a 3-lap shootout if the safety car comes in this time by. And now Oliver's made the pit. Oliver's going to be the first car. Actually, he's going to be the only car on a fresh set of softs. If he can get called up to the safety car queue before they get back around, he'll be in prime position to try and work his way through the 4 cars in front of him, get into the points. It's probably the best thing Oliver could have done as he was running in the 13th spot. And now you really see the sun is starting to shine on part of this track, and it's going to start heating up the track and start seeing the shadows come into play now. So skies are definitely brightening up. Still waiting on the notification that the safety car will be in this lap. I don't think I've seen it yet. I would imagine the drivers at this point are very antsy to get back to green flag racing. And there it is, race control. Safety car is in this lap. Morgan's going to become the control car. And again, no passing before the start-finish line. So what happens? Does Morgan scoot away? Does Luis Wassman make the jump and possibly take over second? Is Epic going to drop through the field because of his wet weather setup that we think he might have on the car? And Oliver, fresh set of softs. Does he work his way from 14th into the points? And it is going to be a 3-lap shootout for the win of this race. You see the cars, basically, this is very messy looking. And Morgan is off to the races, and here comes Luis Wassman. Right along with Epic. Oh, and there's contact. Wassman, oh, and another car's going around. Epic's going to lose a spot, and somebody's falling through the field. Oh, and Asciomi's into the wall as well. Can't be touched, makes contact. Tough break, and now Epic. Oh, and Epic with huge contact there with one of the Red Bulls. That looked like it might have been McLeod, and McLeod's gone around. Epic back into the 4th spot, but he's got Matthias all over the back of him. Yellow flags flying sectors 1 and 2. 3-second time penalty for Matt. Yellow flag sector 1, sector 2. Matthias cutting the wall. Epic into the wall. Oh, and now there's a migrating host. What has happened? Looks like McLeod's left the session. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening, Morgan has pulled away to a 1-second gap over his teammate, the game. Luis Wassman is 1.8 seconds back from that. And then it gets messy back here. You've got Epic, who's got wing damage. He's got Matthias all over the back of him. Going to ride along with Matthias, and Matthias was super fast down the straightaway. He's going to have the slipstream off of Epic. Epic's going to try and outbrake him, but Epic's got that wing damage. Epic hanging tough on the outside. But he's going to lose that spot, and now Epic is in danger of losing another spot to Santer. And really, at this point, Epic is in damage control. But I think Epic needs to take a step back. He needs to take a step back and regroup. You just need to finish in front of your rival, as we see Santer try and make a move to the inside. He's going to push him wide. Oh, and it pushes him into the wall. They rub. They get side by side up to the castle corner. It's not going to work. Woo, that's some tough racing right there. And I think both of those drivers are going to look at one another and go, I don't appreciate what you did, and I don't appreciate what you did. And really, you can't go side by side through that section of the course. That's just not a good place to pass. Oh, and man, Logan's into the wall again. This time, Santer's into the wall as well. These guys aren't doing anything but hurting each other. And again, Logan, I think, needs to take a step back, regroup, and just finish the race in the points. All you have to do is finish in front of Tony. And Santer, all over the back of him. Final lap of this race. Santer's hard into Epic. And that looked like it was a little bit of argy-bargy there. And around goes can't be touched as he made contact. Cow is going to move into 10th. Epic loses out. Epic's in the 5th spot. And I think Santer was trying to give Epic a nice shoulder check there. And I think Santer cost himself on that one. I think he was looked a little purposefully trying to get in there. So Epic in damage control. His championship rival's right behind him, Tony, running in the 6th spot. I mean, 5th over 6th. I mean, Tony's not going to really close the championship points gap much, even if he gets around Epic here on this last lap. And honestly, it looks like Tony's in danger of losing that spot to Askiomi. Yellow flag sector 2, and that's Santer as he is retired from the session. I guess he's crashed. But here we go, 26 of 26. Here comes McLeod. Here comes Morgan across the line. So that is a big win for Morgan. He's going to bring his teammate with him as it's an Alfa Romeo 1-2. Props to Luis Wassman picking up the third final podium position. Matthias is fourth. Epic is fifth. Tony's going to be sixth, seventh. And that was one crazy race. Driver of the day is Luis Wassman, and I could definitely agree with that. Luis started deep in the field, ran the pit strategy right, works his way to a podium finish. And there you see Alfa Romeo 1-2. Morgan followed by Joke the Game 94. Congratulations to Team Alfa Romeo on a 1-2 finish. Congratulations to Luis Wassman, driver of the day, and a podium finish. I think Epic the Animal and Santa are going to have some words with each other after the race. So, rough day for some of these drivers. So we'll take a look at the unofficial results for now. Morgan walking away with the win. Joke the Game is second. Luis Wassman is third. Matthias is fourth. Logan Oronda is fifth. Tony is sixth. Askiomi is seventh. Oliver does manage to work his way into the points on those fresh set of softs in eighth. Matt, who's had got pushed around a little bit today, manages to score some points, put in ninth. Sam at Pike falls all the way back to 10th. And then you have Cowie, Can't Be Touched, in the 11th and 12th position. And then 13th through 15th is all DNFs. That is Santer, McLeod, and Messi, which was the first one to cause the safety car to come out. And that was a crazy race. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. League still trying to get on its feet. This has been round 8 at Azerbaijan, Baku. I will try to be here for as many races of the season, and I will try to have more and better information next round, which I don't know which round I'll be able to participate in. But guys, this has been a very interesting race. Congratulations again to Team Alfa Romeo and Luis Wassman. Epic retains his championship points lead. Tony was not able to capitalize on his qualifying position over Epic at the beginning of this race. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel, and we'll see everybody at the next round.